Welcome to the Terra Fairs Awards ceremony, gathering people from 3 regional fairs in upstate New York: the Terra Northeast, the Terra Rochester Finger Lakes, and the Twin Tiers Regional. Please allow me to introduce Terra's president, Dr. Femi Damkachi, who wants to welcome you personally.
This is Dr. Femi Damkachi. I am the president of Terra Science and Education. And we are really proud of you doing a science project for one of the regional fairs, despite all of the COVID-19 restrictions and online education. So we are really happy that we are part of this endeavor in your life, and then we are really happy that we can support your science projects and sharing them with the others. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the teachers and parents who support all these students who were able to do a science project and share with others, as well as I would like to thank all our judges and volunteers who will make these fairs happen. And hopefully we would like to see all of you again next year with a better projects, and hopefully we will host an in-person fair so that we can talk science all day long. As a scientist myself, I know how hard it is to do science in these restrictive times, but we are glad to see that you did not give up, and then you continue to do a science project and submit. And as an organization, we are happy to continue to support all these efforts despite funding reductions and everything else. And hopefully we'll do a better and bigger fair next year. Again, thank you all your efforts, and hopefully you enjoyed as well as we did, and hope to see you again next year. And thank to all our judges, volunteers, teachers, and parents. Have a good day. Hi, this is Femi Damkachi. I am the founder and the president of Terra Science and Education.
Yes, let's celebrate, and here we are.
Hi, this is Femi Damkachi. I am the founder and the president of Terra Science and Education.
Hello, we are working on getting not 2 voices speaking at once on that show. We'll be right back. I know I'm live, but I can't get the audio to stop. I know. So don't give up. I have a technical genius here who's working on this.
Hi, this is Femi Damkasi. I am
Thank
the
you,
founder
Dr.
and the president
Damkachi.
of Terra Science.
Yes, let's celebrate. And here we are, celebrating the achievements of amazing middle and high
Hi, this
school
is Femi
students who
Damkasi. I am
prevailed
the
against
founder and the
all
president of
odds to
Terra Science
present
and
their
Education.
Wonderful. I would like to skip the introduction, which basically said, you are amazing, wonderful people. The students and the teachers and the parents, the mentors, everyone who has been part of making this happen for children. The fair committees, the directors, every volunteer who has given their time and their talent over the last 12 months to make today happen. To celebrate that, we have as our guest speaker, Shayla Rivera. Shayla Rivera was born in Puerto Rico and has always loved fixing things. Fast forward to her careers. As an aerospace engineer, rocket scientist, she worked for McDonnell Douglas Space Systems at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston. She worked on the space shuttle, she worked on the space station. Then the world found out how funny she was. So while she loves talking with young people, as she's doing today with us, she has also toured the world to speak to our servicemen and servicewomen, and squeezed among her many speaking engagements and a successful battle with breast cancer. She is also the director of ENGRX program and a professor of practice at the College of Engineering at Texas A&M University. While some people call her a Renaissance woman, we choose to present to you our favorite funny rocket scientist, Shayla Rivera. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Mary Eileen. This is fantastic. I hope everybody can hear me. I have to tell you, this is so cool to see young people coming together. This is a celebration. Congratulations in being here and, taking a risk and entering a science fair. And yeah, there's COVID and there's all this stuff going on, but you said, you know what, I'm just going to do something else, something new. And you know what, that tells me something about you, because life is like this beginning of this program today. There's a whole lot of things that happen that we don't expect. And, we just have to roll with the punches, don't we? And that's what you guys are doing. So I want you to know that I respect that so much, that I'm identifying with you, because here's what I know for sure. I know that you have taken the pen in your own hands to write your own story, because you are a story. That's what you're doing. And now you have in there this whole idea of the story and the chapter of the science fair, which is kind of fun. And I know you're a story and I'm a story, right? And today our stories are exchanging a little information. And when we exchange a little information, then we become entangled, right? It's a quantum principle. We'll talk about quantum physics next year, maybe. But here's the thing. We are now entangled forever. We are now, our stories have crossed paths. And I want you to know the importance of making sure that you write and that you keep thinking about your story as you go along. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to share a little bit about my story, because I promise you that I did not know what my story was going to bring to me, but I knew that I was going to do my best and I was going to take risks and I was just going to go on no matter what other people told me about me. I decided that I don't want to be told who I am. I want to be asked, who am I, right? I mean, so that biggest person that needed to ask that question was me. So let me tell you a little bit about my story. I was born and raised in Puerto Rico. Actually, my name is Shayla May Rivera Martinez Cortez, Romero Reventos, Murphy by marriage, because at one point I married a Texan. It was an interesting wedding because he was Irish Catholic. I'm Puerto Rican Catholic. Means half the family was drunk before the wedding and the other half stole their cars. It was fun, just a joke. So I want you to know how it was that I got to the States. All right. So in Puerto Rico, when I graduated high school, in Puerto Rico, when you graduate high school, you go to your graduation first, and then you go to your senior prom. So that's the way we do it. So my senior prom ended at 4:30 in the morning. At 7:30 that very same morning, my parents had me in a plane leaving Puerto Rico forever, moving me to Houston, Texas. Now, I want you to experience, I want you to understand exactly how that felt for me, because you're at that age where I was. You know, imagine you're 17 and you go home and your mom says, okay, honey, tomorrow we're moving to China and you're going to live the rest of your life in China. I'm not being controversial using China. I'm telling you that you probably would say, but I don't speak Chinese. That was my problem. See, I didn't speak any English. I mean, I spoke the Puerto Rican, I knew the door and the window, but I had no, idea of, conversational English or even technical English, or I was scared. I was scared. And I told my mother, and she, was very supportive of me when I said, Mommy, I don't speak English. She said, I don't care. You're going to have to handle it. She trusted me enough to handle it. So she gave me 2 weeks. She said, you have 2 weeks to get over this fear. So I sat in front of the TV and I started watching television. The year is 1979. I know you're very young, but back in that time, there was a show called The Gong Show. I'm taking you somewhere, so stay with me on this story. I'm watching the show called The Gong Show, and The Gong Show was interesting to watch because although I don't speak English, right? It's interesting. It's visually interesting because there had like weird people doing weird things, weird acts and whatnot. And I'm just sitting there scared, and I see the guy introduces the next act, and out comes this woman who was very, very, very large, wearing a thong bikini. And she walked to this piano and she sat at the piano and she played it like a concert pianist, like I've never heard such beautiful music in my life. And in that moment, I said, that's it. I am going to learn this language. I'm going to learn it right. I'm not going to talk like this. I'm going to do it right. I'm not going to talk like Texans either. I'm going to do it right. I was so righteously upset. And because of fear, I was so afraid to not ever be able to, I saw this thing as much bigger than me. So in that moment, I said, that's it. So I turned off the TV and I went into my room and I started reading out loud. Okay, so I take books out loud, in English. I don't know what I'm reading because I don't know English really, right? But I'm reading out loud because, I spoke Spanish only as a child. And if you know Spanish at all, you know that when you speak Spanish only, the reason it sounds sexy is because, the muscles of your mouth are used in a different way. So if you want to train your mouth muscles to sound erudite in English, you have to train them somehow. And that's what I did, right? And here's why I'm telling you this story. 5 months later, only 5 months later, I find myself at Texas A&M University having a conversation with one of my professors. And in the middle of that conversation, I get there. Have you ever done that? Have you ever been somewhere and then you get there? Practice that. Practice staying wherever you're at, right? Being present. But in that moment, I got there and I go, whoa. Check me out. I'm actually carrying on a conversation in English with this professor. How cool am I? And then I had another thought. And the other thought said, wow, if I can do this, I can do anything. Because it's a language, right? I just mastered a language. This is huge. And then I had another thought. And it wasn't my thought. It was a whisper. It's one of those things that comes from, from God, from quantum, from whatever you want to call it. It was a whisper almost. And that whisper is why I'm here today and why I will go wherever I go. And that whisper said to me, remember, if you can do anything, then anybody can do anything. And I really heard that in that moment. And I paid attention to that. And I know the truth. I know the truth is that if anybody has ever done a thing, anybody else can do that thing or better. They just have to want it and put the time in and have the passion and give it the effort that it requires. So that's one of the things I want you to understand. I just shared with you my first quantum leap. My first quantum leap was that moment. See, I know that I learned and mastered the English language the moment on the couch when I said, that's it. The moment when I resolved, the moment when I said, there's no other option for me. I am going for it. And I took the actions and I took the steps and I took the risk to believe that I didn't even have to believe. I just knew it was going to happen. So it only took 5 months to bring it to pass, but it happened in that moment. And I know you have some of these moments in your life already. And everybody, whether you're a student or a teacher or an administrator or whatever, we all have had these moments where we move through something and we resolve. When you resolve, it's not deciding. Deciding is, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Resolving leaves no other option. I was going to learn English, and now I drink water. Think about that. Think about that and make sure you write down the moments in your life that you've had like that, when you have conquered something. So let's continue with the story. I go to school, I study aerospace engineering and psychology because I figured I'd come in handy someday when we find life in another planet that needs therapy, right? Be like, E.T., why won't you call your mother? Come on, light up the finger, vámonos. So I did graduate in 1983, where technology was completely different than it is right now. I am telling you, the future is really cool coming in science, technology, engineering, math, creativity, art, awareness, all of that stuff is for you to evolve and come up with going forward. So I graduated with that and I went to work for NASA right away. It was the space shuttle program was in its heyday. It was a fantastic time to be an aerospace engineer. So I did work with the space shuttle. I worked with the space station. I even got to work with the Apache helicopter for a while. You know, I mean, I did things in aerospace that I really, really enjoyed. I worked with the ET-SRB disposal task. You got to look that up. External tank, solid rocket booster. We would plot the trajectories for, you know, how the shuttle would go up and the solid rocket boosters would go off to the sides, and you know, the external tank then, you know, continues with the configuration. Well, my task of engineering would determine where those solid rocket boosters would come back and splash down on the ocean, right? We've plotted the footprint so that the Navy could go pick them up and refurbish them so we could use them again. I'm telling you that it was so much fun, stuff that I never really looked at in college, but I was prepared. So always be preparing yourself for anything new by continuing your education. It was fun. So when I was in aerospace and I did all of these things, I also had a pull toward the psychology part of me. I really listened to myself. I wanted to make a change into something that had to do with science, but also had to deal with people more. So I got into technical sales. And if you know probably what technical sales is, but I didn't at the time. I found it interesting. You know, what is that? And somebody said, well, if you have a STEM degree, you can go out and sell, you know, you're not a person who is prepared in science and technology and engineering and math can go, you're not selling stuff, you're selling solutions, right? You're coming up with solutions for your clients and you have things that you sell for them and everything. So of course, from aerospace, what else would I sell? Right. Oil and gas products. I got into oil and gas products, environmental systems, gas chromatographs, pH, conductivity, water treatment chemicals. I'm telling you stuff that I didn't even like chemistry in college, I got to tell you. But I have to tell you that I was prepared. I was prepared to go into that because I had demonstrated to myself and to others that, you know, I had the wherewithal the staying power to learn. You know, once you get your degree in science and in STEM and any STEM, you will be able to, that will translate into so many things. So, but the important thing is for you to continue to write your story. That's what I was doing. I wanted to go into that. And I did. And I sold great products and environmental systems. And I was just really enjoying that. And then in sales, I got exposed to something that was really important. I'm taking you to another place that was really important in my life. All right, so I'm in sales and I'm exposed now to something new. And it's, I'm exposed finally to something I'd never seen before, which was a motivational speaker. I had never seen a motivational speaker in my life, right? I mean, my mother was the only motivational speaker I ever saw. My mother would say, you do it right now. And we would do it right away. She was very, very motivating. But I was exposed to this person for the first time. His name was Zig Ziglar. If you don't know him, you can look him up. Google these people, amazing. At the time, he was called America's sales trainer. So the thing about, sales trainings, when you're doing sales, and especially in engineering, we tend to be shy. We tend to just kind of be introspective and introverted or whatever. We kind of like to do our thing. But, in sales, you have to be open. You have to go out and talk to people and be the person that initiates and everything. So, he would talk about all of these things, and he was fun and he was funny and he would tell stories, right? And I went to see him one time. Here comes another quantum leap for me. The first time I went to see Zig Ziglar, I'm in a room that's like, I don't know, it's got 3,000 people. And I'm in the back in the cheap seats. Oh, I'm in the cheap seats. To me, he was really tiny. And I'm in the back, and I'm overwhelmed by what's going on in this room, because over there, way over there, there's this person on a stage with a microphone. That's it, right? And there's thousands of people in this room, and he's using just words, right? Blah, blah, palabras. He's just using words. And he doesn't have a PowerPoint. I don't really like PowerPoints, but we'll discuss that some other time. No PowerPoint, no dancing dogs, nothing. He's talking, and those words are getting to me, making a difference inside of me. It's just something is changing. Everybody is getting this. And in that moment, I realized something really important that you have to really take with you. And that is the power of words. The power of words. I understood that. Think about it. Words have immense power. They can build, they can destroy, they can elevate, they can make people laugh, they can make them cry, they can, communicate your ideas. Words are so important. And that moment I said, wow, words have a lot of power. And then I said, wow, we all have that power. We all have the power of words, don't we? We all do. And we don't use them. We don't use that power purposefully. We just talk, blah. Let me tell you a story. There's a guy I work with here at Texas A&M. I'll take you back to that part of the story in a minute. There's a guy I work with here. He's a nice guy. I love this guy, but he's a vegan, and it's good because he's healthy, but he's a militant vegan, and he invites you to lunch. He likes to take you to lunch, and you take me to lunch every time, but he takes you to lunch, and then he starts talking, and oh my God, and you people, and man, they're doing this and that. And one day I said to him, isn't it interesting that you care so much about what goes into your mouth, but you don't care about what comes out? That's right. That's a good one. Think about that. We don't care about what comes out of our mouths enough. As engineers going forward, as scientists, as people that are we are changing every aspect of society. You have to take this seriously. We are more important than doctors and lawyers. I'm sorry if doctors or lawyers are out there. Let me tell you something. Why are we more important? Because the things we do and create affect every single person in society. So it is important for us to make sure that we understand how to communicate things, how to think through things. So, in that moment, I realized that I loved that whole idea of using my words on purpose and to build. And at that moment I said, oh, wow, Mom, one day I want to do that. Here, a few years before, I didn't even speak English. But now I want to be a speaker. I don't even know how to be a speaker. But when you open yourself up to new things, then you will find a way. It's kind of that quantum observer. I go back to quantum. I love that. Look it up. When you're going in that direction, you're going to find it. The thing that is most important in science that's going to limit us or bring anything to be is our imagination. Let me repeat that. Science is only limited by the imagination of the scientist, of the person who's working on it. So I just imagine big, all right? Use your imagination. What can I come up with? How can I time travel? Can we teleport? Could we do teleportation? I don't know. My point is that get excited about science, get excited about the things that you're doing. Like I was excited about the things that I discovered I wanted to do. So speaking was one of those things. And this is, I'm here, I'm speaking to you, but I didn't know how to be a speaker in the moment that I said, I kind of like that. So what I do when I do that is I kind of write it down. I write down the ideas that come to my mind. And what happened is at that point, I ended up going to a breakfast one morning where a speaker came in and talked about stress management. And, you know, this guy, Robert Pennington in Houston, he's an amazing guy, stress management expert. He got shot, center of the chest, point blank, boom, and survived. And he tells a story, and the story is very funny and whatever. And the way the things he was saying really resonated with me. So the next morning I showed up at his office. I took a risk. I showed up. I just saw him yesterday and he remembered this. I showed up at his office and I said, hi, my name is Shayla Rivera and I want to work here. And he said, I'm sorry, who are you? So I explained, I'm sorry, I didn't introduce myself yesterday. I met you yesterday. You gave a presentation. I love what you talk about and I want to work here. And he said, no, I wasn't looking for anybody. So yes, you are. You're looking for me because I'm here and I really want to work here. And he said, no. I don't have any money to work, to pay anybody. And he thought that was going to work. But that's when I used humor and I messed with him and I said, well, there's always a little money somewhere. You don't want me to work for free. I would have to tell somebody. I think that's illegal. Anyway, point is, I messed with him so much. He hired me that day and I ended up doing corporate trainings, stress management, motivational speaking. Finally at night, I found ways to do my motivational speaking. And that's when people started saying, oh my God, you should be a comedian. And I'm like, hey, I'm trying to be enlightening. What's wrong with you? I was very offended when people told me that. But the thing is that I finally tried comedy. And I've also been doing stand-up comedy now for 28 years, something like that. Why am I telling you all this stuff? Because what you have to do in science and in your life is to take risks. You have to continue to take risks, especially in science. You know, you have to have these thought experiments. You have to think outside of the box, what's possible. And the most difficult and the most challenging thing for us is to think larger of ourselves. Can I do this? Well, you don't have to know how to do something. You can just be willing to take the next step. And that's what you have to do. So I ended up doing my speaking, which is what I wanted. I ended up doing stand-up comedy. And then that brought me back to Texas A&M to make a presentation a few years back. And somebody said to me, oh my God, you should teach here. And I'm like, I teach here? I can't teach here. That's crazy. But I came back a few more years in a row. And finally, the dean of the college, who is not going to be our president, said, I hear you want to work here. And I said, yeah. She goes, when do you want to start? I'm like, tomorrow. And she wasn't kidding. I was kind of kidding, but she wasn't. And now I am here as a professor in the College of Engineering, teaching engineering ethics and directing a program called Engineering X. And the Engineering X is that X factor. Engineers need to have that X factor. And what's that X factor? The X factor is that risk-taking, that ability to, I want you guys to also get into educating your whole selves, you know, learn to communicate with people, learn to have fun with science, learn to exhibit passion and be a good collaborator and team member and leader and communication skills, and, you know, get curious about also those things, because you, especially your generation, is going to do so many things. When I was a little girl and, you know, people would ask me, what do you want to be when you grow up? I would say, well, I want to be an engineer, or I want to be whatever. Your generation is different. To you, I can't ask you what do you want to be when you grow up. The question for you is, what are you going to be first? What are you going to do first? What are you going to learn first? What are you going to go into first? And then you're going to just really step in there and take the risks that you need to take. Now, let's talk about risk a little bit. Sorry, I have allergies, and you know, Claritin, no good. Let me tell you something about risk, all right? You took the risk of entering this science fair, all right? You pushed through it, you did it, right? And that reminds me of the little tripod I talk about. There's a tripod of success, and you might wanna write this down. There's a tripod of success that if you follow it, it's going to keep you going always. And the tripod comes from the three people in my family, right? Me and my two kids. I was invited one time to do a keynote, and I said, sure. I always say sure. Okay, great. Thank you. It's going to be 10 minutes. 10-minute keynote is really fast. So I'm like, what? Okay, I'll do it. But then I'm driving around town with my son and I go, Michael, I don't know what I'm going to do here. It's this 10-minute keynote. What am I going to tell people? I mean, what am I going to tell them in 10 minutes? And he said, that's easy, Mom. Just tell them to show up. Just show up. And he said that because the day before he had not shown up at his job and he got fired. Now, when he said that, it was kind of funny and it was kind of cute, but it also kind of made me think about that. That was really profound. Just show up. You have to show up. You showed up at the science fair. You show up every day in the classroom. You show up at home. You show up in everything you do, right? Just show up. A lot of people don't show up. So just keep showing up. And then the second leg of the tripod is something I bring to it. And it comes from comedy. Okay. When you do stand-up comedy, some of you should try it. It's always fun to get on a stage and try to make people laugh. When you are telling a brand new joke, comedians hate doing that because we don't know if it's going to work, right? We write it out and we're kind of afraid, and we get to the stage and we just kind of, two dogs walk into a bar, right? We get really scared. So the way to deliver a joke so that it works and give it its best shot is to commit to it. So what the second leg is, when you step on that stage, commit to the bit. So that's what I would tell myself. Commit to the bit, even if it's brand new, deliver it like it's the best thing in the world. So just show up, commit to the bit, commit to what you're doing, commit to your classes, commit to cleaning your room, commit to, taking out the trash. I don't know, commit to your exercising or your sports or whatever. Commit to the bit while you're there, right? The third leg comes from my daughter. During COVID last year, we all know what that's like, right? She lost her job right away. My daughter is a pastry chef. She lost her job right away, and she started painting. And she called me, oh, Mom, you got to paint, you got to paint. So I started painting too, and I'm not really good at painting. So I'm just like, I don't know about this. I don't, think it's any good or whatever. And she said something also very profound to me. She said, Mom, listen to me. When you are painting, creating a work of art, there's going to be a moment when you're going to step back, look at it and go, oh, this is really bad. I don't want to finish this. I don't want anybody to ever see this. And you're going to want to quit. And that's the moment you have to push through the quit. That was profound. Think about it. Just show up, commit to the bit, and push through the quit. You will, in art, science, STEM, everywhere, going to get to that moment where you really think you can just, and you're trying, and this is my idea and whatever, and just, it's hard. That's the moment you have to push through that. At the moment that you start maybe looking for other ways to approach it and everything, not just in your professional life, but in your personal life, because life is going to bring you things that are going to challenge you. And if you learn to see your challenges as something that can happen for you instead of to you, I promise you that you're going to find yourself in places that are incredible in the future. You cannot predict them right now. You're going to find yourself, maybe you will be the speaker at some science fair sometime in, 20 years or something like that. It is absolutely possible. I know it's possible because I've done it. And if I have done anything, anybody else can do the very same thing that I have done. I have to tell you that it isn't about, the circumstances of our lives. I don't care where you come from. I don't care how much money your family had or didn't have or whatever, whether you're first generation, I was, or whether my point is, we all are broken down, and we like to talk about statistics out there. Statistics of this group and the statistics of that group. And I promise you this, statistics do not apply to the individual. Think about that. Think about that. You are an individual. I was an individual. I didn't like to be told what I could or could not do. So I was kind of a rebel. But the point is that do it with gusto, do it with passion, be creative. And I got to tell you, it's going to be amazing, an amazing ride. I have, I always get this question. All right. I know we're going to have a little time for questioning here in a minute. But I always get this question. The question is, you're so excited and you're so, tuned in and all these things. And, how do you stay that way? Well, that's like the best question ever. To be able to stay excited, impassioned about life and everything, you have to find the things, seek them out that turn you on, that excite you, that impassion you. Look for things that, oh, wow, somebody's doing that. And somebody else is doing this over here. And this is great. And so you have to keep filling yourself up. And the best way to feel that passion, to live the best way you can is to take the risk, to live. It's kind of like Dr. Fred Alan Wolf talks about, he's Dr. Quantum. He talks about, we all live skating on the edge of chaos. Chaos, we think of, oh, that's bad. No, chaos is infinite possibilities. So taking a risk is the most important thing. So going back to what I was trying to tell you, my number one question is, how do you stay connected? Well, you got to stay connected. You got to find the things. You got to find reasons to laugh. You have to find reasons to sing. You have to find reasons to dance. And you have to find things that inspire you as well. This morning, I found something that I'd never seen before. So I'm going to share it with you right now. And I go on YouTube and I, look for things, and I found, I'd never seen this. Myron Stevens Jr. is a 103-year-old man who is passed now, but it was a quick video that said, advice from a 103-year-old. I said, well, let me look at that. And it said, it's very short. He says, you want my advice? Stop looking for advice. Go out and do something. Come hell or high water, remember everything is a risk. Crossing the street, going to college, getting married, having a family, buying a new car, whatever is a risk. And then he said, he's putting on a jacket. He goes, I would stick around, but I have new business to attempt to. And then he looks and goes, now go take a risk. So that's exactly what I'm passing on to you. I'm not 103 yet. I'll get there. Maybe my YouTube will, be different. I don't know. Take a risk. Don't should on yourself. I said should. Don't should on yourself too much. When you start thinking, I should try this, I should try that, maybe I should do this, don't should. Let the should hit the fan and take the risk. And you will grow, and you will feel alive, and you will write one of the best stories ever. And then you share them. Then you share them with everybody else. And that's how we make the best of the world. And that's how we make the best of humanity, science, of everything, is tune into your own life, make it cool, share it with other people. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here and celebrate with you guys. Well done. Pat yourselves on the back. You took a risk, you're here, and I get to be here and share with you guys. Thank you very much. I can open it now for questions and answers if anybody has any.
Shayla, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. We've got a few questions, lady, waiting for you. You talked about having fun with science. Give me an example.
An example of fun with science. Oh, boy. How can you not have fun with science is what I'm saying. Let me give you an example of when I was kind of your age. In Puerto Rico, my father was not an engineer by education, but my dad was the best engineer I ever met in my life. My father had an ability he was always working on something. My mother would get on his nerve. Well, he would get on her nerves. But having fun with science for me began with him, because he would always be working on the car or whatever. And I would go in the garage and, here's me, snot-nosed little, 7, 8-year-old, maybe 12-year-old, 14, because I was always around him. And he would, can I help you? Oh, yeah. And then he would send me, go find me the 3/4, socket wrench, whatever. It's over there somewhere. And I would go over there, start looking, and I go, this one? Go, no, it's over there. And I would show, and then he would come over and say, oh, let me look. Okay, it's right here. And having fun with science began with having fun with my dad, I felt welcome. It was like he made it so much fun to hang out with him and do things. I didn't know what I was doing, but it just, that whole notion that he made me think, or he made me believe, or I knew that there was no difference between me and my brother. Whoever showed up was put to work. So I had fun doing that. And then I had fun mainly with the Apache helicopter. Oh boy, that was so much fun because the machine was right there. With the shuttle, I was in Houston, so I didn't get to see the space shuttle too many times. But the Apache helicopter in Arizona, when I was there for a while, it was right there. And it's very cool to just, put your hands on the science that you're working on.
One question came in. What's your advice for what I do today to start the rest of my life?
Great question. It's very simple. Today, be here today. Choose to do what you're doing while you're doing it. Let me repeat that. I always tell myself that. Choose to do what you're doing while you're doing it. In other words, if you're doing your homework, choose to do your homework. Like you're here in this presentation, right? Some people are watching it. Some people are watching it this way, that way. You are engaged because you're asking a question. You've chosen to be here. Continue that. Continue to come to the moment you're in. If you're doing the dishes, do the dishes. Turn on the music. Ask your parents if you need to take out, do something else. Choose it and then do it to the best of your ability. And that's how we connect to science and technology, by, being present in whatever we're doing. So really, if you're going to dance, right? Don't just kind of move, dance. Look at the difference between a ballerina and how they finish an extension and somebody who's just kind of moving around. Yeah. Choose to be where you're at. Be present. Look for reasons to feel better. Look for reasons to laugh.
Yes. I just want to remind everyone who's here, add questions to the chat. We still have 4 more minutes.
There we go.
There was one that came in. You've talked about communication. What's the key to the way you're talking to us and communicating through an electronic medium? How are you communicating to us?
I am communicating to you. The difference, I believe, perhaps, is I'm coming from a place of an expert. What does that mean? I'm talking to you about what I know about. I know about me. I know about the things that I have gone through and the choices I've made and everything. And I'm coming to you from a place of such desire to convey to you the passion that I have felt. I know what's true. The truth is that any one of us can do anything we set our minds to. And I'm encouraging you to set your mind to it. Because I didn't speak English, I got really interested in words, and how to say something is really important. Find always many ways to say something. Remember who you're speaking to. Communicate with caring, with desire. A lot of times people say, I want to be a speaker. And I go, okay, what message do you have to convey? Oh, well, I can talk about this or I can talk about that. Well, then you're a talker. So become somebody who's coming from, from your heart. So that's probably the difference. The difference is that, you're getting, what you see is what you get here with me. I just really, I want you to get, if I could just grab you and go, come in here and get what I'm trying to tell you, I would do it.
Wonderful. You've talked about your father being important. If you closed your eyes right now and thought of the person who is the most important person in your life, what would you say to them?
You're going to make me cry.
That's good.
Yeah. There's a couple of people. My dad, definitely. My son, I lost my son. But I would say to them both, thank you for believing in me while I couldn't believe in me. thank you. And always thank those people that believe in you, your teachers. They're not trying to annoy you, turn it in and do it better. It isn't annoying. They wouldn't, if they thought you couldn't do it, probably, I promise you, they wouldn't ask you. Thank the people that are believing in you. So that's what I would say to them. Thank you for believing in me, in spite of me not believing in myself at times. That's what I would do.
Thank you. I feel like you've opened your mind and now you just opened your heart to us as well.
Always.
I believe that we are out of time, but you have told us that we can share this video for the coming year. So if there is a teacher or a student, anyone that would like to take Shayla's message and share it, don't just give them a link. Give them the chance to hear what she says. And what she told me last week was that if you will let her know when you are presenting her video, if she's free, she might come in and do a Q&A for you. So if that isn't motivating, I don't know how you got out of bed this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shayla. This was marvelous.
It's an honor.
Oh, our privilege. Take care.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Now, we begin our presentation ceremony. I'm going to start the slide, hopefully with none of the extra voices running. Drum roll, please. No sound. We're safe. Just a minute. We have to make sure you're seeing this screen. You should have it now. Double check. Got it? Excellent. All right, here we go. So, the special awards presentation is how we open our special awards ceremony. These are sponsored by an array of individuals, companies, organizations, and government agencies. We'd like to take this moment to thank them all for their generosity and for their vision of the future. I will read the award name first, then the names of the students who are the recipients. Students, remember, you can use that chat in YouTube to congratulate your friends and to share your own reactions. So do that. This is your chance to share the fun. So we begin with the American Chemical Society Award. And the winner of this is Cadence Zawski. Congratulations. The American Meteorological Society Award is being presented to Akosua Essa. My compliments. The American Psychological Association Award is going to 4 students this year. Estella Guerin, Bethany Poyer, Trey Williams, and Emma Wu. Congratulations. The ASM Materials Science Award is being received by 3 individuals. Matthew Bachman, Jaden Nero, and Elena Seeberger. My compliments to all 3 of you. The Bobby Alcock Founders Award. She was the co-director of one of the predecessor fairs to yours. This founding award goes to Mikkel Green and Andrea Merzianu. My compliments to you both. Now, the Eagle View Women in Technology Award has a special message.
Hi, my name is Sarah Studwell, and I will be presenting the 2021 Women in Technology Innovation Award presented by Eagle View from this year's Terra Fair. Our goal was to identify a student that represents our Women in Tech Committee's mission statement. Women in Technology's vision is to foster a culture of inclusion and equality that empowers the employees at Eagleview and inspires future generations to achieve their aspirations within the workplace and beyond. I can't think of a better application of these words than recognizing one of the impressive Terra Fair participants in 2021. I came away from this year's fair inspired and optimistic about this generation of scientists and researchers. An ideal candidate for this award would represent a passion for STEM and exhibit innovation in tech, ideally in fields applicable to Eagleview's work. Myself and fellow Eagleview judge Ashton Fisher were able to see a number of incredible presentations throughout the day, and after careful deliberation, have awarded the Eagleview Special Award to Alexia Savage, Year 9, for her self-sufficient early warning fire system. At Eagleview, we use our technology in disaster response and recovery, including major wildfire events, and think her work aligns well with our mission. Alexia is an impressive young woman in STEM, asking important questions about how to make life-saving technology affordable and available to all. Alexia clearly understood the relationship of climate change to the damaging effects of wildfires in the US and put her energy into thinking about a potential solution. She has her sights set on future work to figure out how the sensor configuration and data transfer can work more effectively, and we believe her investigation to date and drive to tackle this type of important issue deserves to be rewarded. Congratulations, Alexia Savage.
So, as you heard, Alexia Savage is the recipient of the Eagleview Women in Technology Award. Congratulations. The Energy 21 Symposium is a major event in energy policy in our country, and Thomas Scanlon will be representing Terra Fairs at that as the guest of Dr. Ria Jaser, the founder. The Emma Ernstens Make a Difference Award will be received by 2 students, Jenica McIntosh and Kenneth Mizgana. Ms. Ernstens would be very proud of the work you have both done. The Helmer Volunteers Award goes this year to Joseph Caslow and Serenity Rowley. My compliments to you both. The Lemelson Early Inventor Prize and a $100 check goes to each of the following recipients: Brayton Anderson and Alexander Dove. Congratulations to you both for this achievement. The Mu Alpha Theta Award is being presented to 2 students in the Terra Fairs, Carolyn Brown and Christian Garapi. Well done, both of you. The NOAA Award is an important work for preparing for living in the world of the future and its dynamics. Sydney Haas, Aurora Moses, and Jarek Wadsworth have been awarded the NOAA Prize. The Regeneron Science Talent Search is the premier research competition for individuals in 11th grade moving into 12th. Those students from our fairs are Madeline Cotter, Vima Disanayak, Dominic Esposito, Amy Feng, Christian Garapi, Estella Guerin, Sydney Haas, Alexandra Hayes, David Huang, Ariana McKnight, Megan Paget, Serenity Rolle, Thomas Scanlon, Rachel Waddell, and Cadence Zawski. I wish you the best if you consider presenting your work for this advanced competition. The Ricoh USA Award is a national prize in the environment. Sydney Haas and Rachel Waddell have received this in the Terra Fairs this year. The Selby Hancock's Memorial Award is received by 4 students this year. My compliments to these 4. Mr. Hancocks would be proud of your work. Sienna Bowles, Sadie Brown, Mackenzie Hansen, and Colton Schumann. St. John Fisher College is providing a 3 to 4 credit, one course at the college scholarship to Madeline Cotter. Congratulations. The U.S. Air Force Award is a general award for scientific or engineering excellence. Our 3 recipients are Marlon Bassett, Jaden Miro, and Anna Widger. Well done. The U.S. Metric Association has its own award, and Zachary Ditkowski is the recipient for the Terra Fairs in 2021. The United States Navy and Marine Corps Office of Naval Research presents awards at regional fairs all over the country and at the International Science and Engineering Fair. We have 4 students who have been marked with this award this year. Sumyadip Bhattacharjee, Karen Huang, Jonathan Seeberger, and Joel Stives. Well done, the 4 of you. The Emmy Wood and Associates Mathematics Award is being presented to Isaiah Salisbury. Congratulations. The Yale Science and Engineering Association Award goes to 3 students. This association is an independent one associated with Yale University. Bailey Brothers, Muchima Manengu, and Colton Schumann. Fine job. Now, we have finished with special awards, and now we move to the honors groups. The judges have very carefully considered this. We provide 3 levels of fair honors, and the selection is made by the judges after they have interviewed the students. Fair honors commend work that demonstrates understanding of scientific or engineering principles beyond that which one would expect of a student in their particular grade. For our fairs this year, we have selected Zachary Ditkowski, Sydney Haas, David Huang, Maria Kim, Muchima Manengu, Ariana McKnight, Daniel Bo McGinnis, Mackenzie Moreau, Aurora Moses, Megan Paget, Silas Reeder, Isaiah Salisbury, Jonathan Seeberger, Joel Stives, Lydia Tribendis, Madison Vanelli, Jarek Wadsworth, Trey Williams, Emma Wu, and Cadence Zowski. Now we move to Terra Fair's High Honors. This is the next level up. In order to qualify for high honors, judges expect to see that students' significant understanding of scientific engineering principles is communicated through a particularly strong presentation that has been made to them during the judging period. For high honors, the Terra Fair's winners are Bailey Brothers, Caroline Brown, Carissa Costello, Madeline Cotter, Zoe Curtis, Vimet Desanayaka, Amanda Faust, Emma Gador, Christian Garapi, Karen Huang, Micah Kim, Chantel McCarthy, Jenica McIntosh, Jaden Miro, Andrea Mizianu, Kylie Rice, Maria Rickert, and Thomas Scanlon. Congratulations on your accomplishment all. The best of topic presentations refers to the fair's best student in the topic presentations division. These are students who chose to study a field in depth. Often, this is done in preparation for a research or an engineering design project that they plan to do the following year. Vimet Vitanayaka, Chantel McCarthy, Mackenzie Moreau. Forgive me. These are our topic presentation best projects. Congratulations. Terra Fair's highest honors is the most significant award that the judges present from their first round judging. Not only is the student's comprehension markedly above what is expected from that grade level, but every aspect of the project and its presentation fit the word superior. So, our highest honors recipients in 2021 are Sumyadip Bhattacharjee, Alexander Dove, Amy Feng, Chloe Grandusky, Estella Guerin, Amelia Caslow, Emily Pinheiro, Bethany Poyer, and Colton Schumann. Well done, all. Now, the crossing over ceremony is when each year we present to our audience the next year's entering class to the Senior Division Research and Engineering Design. These are rising scientists and engineers who are stepping into eligibility for international competition. Each of them will receive their research notebook to start their project for next year, and the senior sash that they will wear next year at their live fair in 2022. These 8th grade students are crossing over to the senior division at the end of this ceremony. Sumyadip Bhattacharjee, Zoe Curtis, Alyssa DeMarco, Amanda Faust, Amelia Caslow, Maria Kim, Emily Pinheiro, Tyneer Williams, and Emma Wu. We look forward to what you will bring us for your work for this coming year when we see you at your regional fairs next spring. Now, we ask that the students who just crossed over to senior division express their own gratitude for the support they have received from teachers, from mentors, from family, from every person who has supported them this past year. They have prepared you well for next year's adventures. And if they're not with you now, phone them, text them, email them. Let them know what you have done is because they believed in you. Think of what you heard earlier today in our keynote. Now we move into the final presentation portion of the award ceremony, the Grand Awards. The Terra Fair Grand Awards are presented to individuals or schools who will receive scholarships or grants, and to those students who will represent their regional science fair at future competitions or symposia, including the Genius Olympiad and the Regeneron International Science and Engineering Fair, both international competitions with 70 to 80 countries represented among their students. We'll begin with the Hemphill Educators Award. This is a commendation for outstanding teachers and inspiring fair directors. Maya Crosby at Allendale, Columbia. Travis Godkin at Allendale, Columbia. Courtney McCorkle at Northern Potter. Rebecca Schumann at Saranac Middle. And Harold Clark with the Terra Rochester Finger Lakes Science and Engineering Fair. We commend you and thank you for how you are living out your passion for pre-collegiate science and engineering experiences for our youth. The Terra Educators Awards refer to those schools who have advanced the most students to their regional fairs. From the Terra Northeast Regional Science and Engineering Fair, cash grants will go to Moriah Central School District with Tiffany Pinheiro and Rachel Zauner, and to the St. Lawrence High School with Michael Gendler. Congratulations. For the Terra Rochester Finger Lakes Science and Engineering Fair, their Terra Educators Awards go to the RIT STEP program led by Ashley Simmons, and to the Homeschool Science Fair led by Sophia Kim. Well done. The Terra Educators Awards for the Twin Tiers Regional Science and Engineering Fair are going to Archbishop Walsh High School with Lois Hausler, and to Portville Central School with Robert Stives. All of these schools will receive a cash grant from Terra Science and Education, specifically because of the hard work of these teachers in making sure children came to the regional fair. Now we look at student awards. Broadcom Masters is a national competition to which we are permitted to advance a certain percentage of our 6th through 8th graders. From Terra Fairs 2021, we will be sending these students to the Broadcom Masters competition. Sunyadeep Bhattacharjee, Carissa Costello, Zoe Curtis, Alexander Dove, Amanda Faust, Amelia Caslow, Maria Kim, Emily Pinheiro, Kylie Rice, Isaiah Salisbury, Madison Vinelli, and Emma Wu. You will get more information about how you will submit your work to the Broadcom Masters soon. Congratulations. Now, in order to be considered for advancement to our state, national, and international competitions that we feed students to, we have a grand award honor round, a second round of judging. These students were selected from all of them across 3 fairs, serving over 20 counties in New York. These are the students from whom we selected our advancees: Caroline Brown, Madeline Cotter, Vimet Disanayaka, Amy Feng, Chloe Grandusky, Estella Guerin, Sydney Haas, Karen Huang, Micah Kim, Andrea Merzianu, Bethany Poyer, Maria Rickert, Colton Schumann, and Jonathan Seeberger. You should know, all of you, that again and again we heard from the judges what an astounding achievement it was to have work of this caliber done in a year when so many people couldn't get into labs, couldn't stay after school to use those facilities, couldn't go and work with adults who could advise them. Your achievement is significant, and we commend you for making it to the honor round. Our New York State competition that we advanced to is the Stannis Science Congress, We learned today that it will be live in Syracuse. So, from the Western section and the Central Western section, we are advancing Caroline Brown, Karen Huang, Micah Kim, and Andrea Merzianu. We wish you the best on this competition, and you will get information on how to submit your application. But all 4 of you have been advanced, and you will represent the Terra Fairs. The Genius Olympiad is an international competition focused on the environment. The largest unit in it is a science competition. It also includes students submitting work in the arts, in entrepreneurship, in robotics, so many ways that people demonstrate their passion for STEM and their understanding of our place in our environment. 4 students from the honors round were selected to attend the Genius Olympiad, representing us as finalists there. Chloe Grandusky, Sydney Haas, Alexia Savage, and Thomas Scanlon. Please know your directors and your fair committees are very proud of the work you have done and very confident that you will represent us superbly at the Genius Olympiad. And every one of the fairs that becomes a Terra Fair is an affiliate of the Regeneron International Science and Engineering Fair. This international competition began in 1950, and we have 3 students who are representing the Terra Fairs this year, going to Regeneron ISEF. It is a virtual competition, as is Genius, but you will now join the select group worldwide for the rest of your lives of being ISEF finalists. And these 3 students are Amy Feng, Estella Guerin, and Bethany Poyer. We have already started your registrations, and your scientific review committee paperwork is being reviewed, and we are doing everything we can to help you be prepared to represent your fairs at the International Science and Engineering Fair. Congratulations, all 3 of you. And I would like to congratulate every student who participated in the Terra Northeast Regional Science and Engineering Fair, in the Terra Rochester Finger Lakes Science and Engineering Fair, and in the Twin Tiers Regional Science Fair. Your achievement, your being able to put on your school record that in 2021 you competed in an internationally affiliated science fair, is a tool that's going to go on with you for the rest of your lives. You have done well. You have done exemplary work, demonstrating your commitment to your own intellectual evolution. My compliments. And now I would like to introduce the gentleman who is one of the bravest I know today. Andrew Eulek will conduct physics experiments while live streaming to us here at the Terra Fairs Awards ceremony. Andrew, are you ready? Or do we need a moment more?
Yes, I believe so. We are all set over here. I'm just going to change my video over here so we can see me instead.
Here we go.
Hello. Welcome. Thank you so much for having me, Mary Ellen, and thank you so much for everyone else as well. Y'all can hear me okay? You can hear me okay, Mary Ellen?
Yes.
Excellent. Well, first off, let me just extend my congratulations to all the award recipients, as well as all the participants of this fair. Congratulations on your achievements. Well done. My name is Andrew Eulek. I am the physics lab technician at Elizabethtown College, which is located in Elizabethtown, Pennsylvania. I will be here for another couple months, and then I am transitioning over to a new position at Siena College as their physics and engineering lab manager, which is located in Loudonville, New York, not too far from Albany. So I'll actually be getting closer to the area that most of y'all are located in. So I wanted to thank you all. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this celebration of your achievements over here. And in that spirit, I would like to go ahead and walk you through some experiments for today. First off, just a general introduction is that you know, I want you to think of physics. Physics is very much an investigative science, and all of science is very much investigative. But the way we approach physics in particular is often seen as just a conglomerate of mathematical equations and so forth, which is, you know, very much far from the case. We need to think of this from a scientific mindset. We need to see experiments. We need to observe patterns. We need to think of possible explanations, hypotheses that can explain those patterns. We can move on to test our ideas in testing experiments. This is the scientific process that we need to bring to the table when studying and learning about physics. Okay, so we are going to walk through a bit of an investigation over here. And first things first, I'm going to flip around my main camera that I have over here just to give you a glimpse of this is our mechanics lab at Elizabethtown College. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through a first experiment over here. I'm going to just make my way around here. You all should be able to see me. Here we have a tablecloth, standard tablecloth, and we have a whole bunch of dishes in this location over here. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to briefly pull on this tablecloth like so. And when I do that, you notice that these dishes and so forth make their way across the table, right? So we have some sort of interaction that's going on over here that's allowing for the table, or rather the dishes, to remain at rest with respect to this tablecloth over here. But we can also get something else to occur. So I'm going to bring this a little bit closer to the edge, just like so. And if I go ahead and do this nice and quickly, we'll do this quickly, 1, 2, 3, just like so, and we get those to almost stay in place. This is a really interesting experiment that we have over here, and it has a lot to do with Sir Isaac Newton's laws of motion. Now, when I pulled that tablecloth nice and quickly down, I was able to overcome that force of friction that we were seeing before. So this is a really interesting observational experiment that we have. And hey, if you want to try this on your own, I have a couple of suggestions for you. First, get a nice, smooth tabletop, more smooth than what I have over here. And you also want to make sure that when you're doing this, that you do it nice and quickly, okay? Fast, down, and that is it. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of plates and dishes coming right towards your face, which is never a good thing. So that is one observational experiment that I would like to present to you on the topic of Sir Isaac Newton's laws of motion. So now I'm just going to quickly make my way back around over here so I can switch our camera source. I'm going to go ahead and share my iPad screen that I have over here. All right, and you should now be able to see a different section of our mechanics lab, and I'm going to make my way down over here so I can get in front of the iPad, and you all should be able to see me now, okay? So there's another experiment that I want to talk a little bit about. I want to talk a little bit more about our understanding of matter, okay? Our understanding of matter and what matter is made of. And I want to talk about it in a very generic sense. Okay, what we have here is we're testing an idea that matter is essentially made of small particles. And I'm not using that word particles to mean something more complex like elementary particles or other small things that you may be aware of. I'm just saying that word particles to mean that we have an understanding that matter is made of small stuff. Okay, and to test this idea, what I have inside of here, I have this bell jar over here. I have a balloon inside of there. That one is blue, that's inside of there. And we can connect this to the experiment we saw before, this idea of Sir Isaac Newton's laws of motion. Right now, that balloon inside of there, and right now there is air inside of this glass tube that we have over here. That balloon is just at rest. It's not moving. It's not expanding or shrinking or anything like that. It's just staying as is. So if we take this idea of this particle model of matter, right? What we can think of is we can think of the air molecules that are inside that balloon as pushing outward against the elastic part of the balloon. And we can think of the air that surrounds the balloon inside that jar as pushing inward against the balloon. And what that does is it allows us to explain the fact that this balloon is not expanding, it's not shrinking, so there must be a net force of 0 acting on that balloon. But if we were to remove the air from this balloon and have less air molecules surrounding the balloon, then we should also have less of a force acting on the balloon from the air that surrounds it. So that's going to mean that there's going to be more of a force coming from inside the balloon acting outward, and that should cause the balloon to expand if our model is correct. To test that, what I have here is a vacuum pump. This is going to remove that air from this tube, and let's see what we get. So I'm going to turn this on just like so. And if you look closely, you can go ahead and you can see that the balloon is starting to expand and get rather large, and eventually it's going to pop, just like so. And the reason that it pops is not necessarily because it got too large, but rather because I have some tacks in there as well, okay? So that is one important experiment that actually matches up with our expectations. Our testing experiment, which was this, matched up with our prediction. We expected the balloon to expand because there was no longer as much force acting on the balloon from around it, but there was more force acting on the balloon from the inside air. Okay, so that is a really cool experiment that tests our idea of the idea that matter is made of very small stuff. Okay, so with that said, I am going to take a quick moment to reposition my iPad over here so I can get it set up for the next experiment, and that's going to go right over here, nice and close up. You get the best seat in the house right over there, and I'm going to make my way back around. So before I go ahead and turn the lights off so that we can get a better view of this particular experiment, let me just explain what we have here. Here we have a very cool apparatus, very historic apparatus actually, known as a Whims Hurst generator. Now, it uses a very complex process to generate a separation of charge on either of these leads that we have over here, which I can move like so. Okay, we talked before about matter and how it's made of really small stuff. Well, what is that small stuff made of? Okay, so to test that idea, what I would like to do is demonstrate this, show you another experiment with this apparatus over here. And to do this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm also just going to put on some gloves just to be extra careful over here. And I'm also going to turn off the lights so that we can get a bit of a better view of this. And I'm just going to make sure these are nice and close to one another, just like so. Okay, and you're going to want to focus in right in between these two small spheres over here. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the lights at this time. And I'm going to crank this over here. And if we look closely, we should be able to see a small spark. And I'm going to move this even closer. And now you can start to see that very small spark that's happening over there. Okay, so there's a couple things that we want to talk about, and there's going to be a couple other experiments that we do with this apparatus over here as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and quickly turn the lights back on as well. So we did see something happen over here, right? We did see a spark. So in order for us to have this transfer of charge over here, there are a couple things that we need, that is required when you think of all your electrical apparatuses and so forth and how those are able to function. There are a couple basic things that we need. One, we need a separation of charge, which is going to allow us to have a potential difference between each of these two spheres over here, okay? So we have more of a conglomerate of say, negative charge on one of these spheres and more of a conglomerate or deficiency of negative charge on the other sphere. And that's done by this apparatus over here that uses a complex process in order to allow that to happen. Next thing we need some sort of pathway in order for this charge, this separation of charge, to kind of move. Think of it like an electrical highway of some sort that needs to be present in order to allow for this transfer of charge to happen that you just saw. And the last thing that we need some sort of process by which energy is converting. So the electric potential energy that we had due to the separation of charge allowed there to be some other forms of energy in the form of light. And I'd like to show you some other ways in which we can have that energy transfer and other ways that we can have this conduction pathway as well. So I'm going to move these leads a bit farther away this time, and I'm going to keep the lights on this time. And I'm also just going to put my gloves back on just in case. And I'm going to go ahead and build up quite a bit of charge on this one. Okay, just like so. All right. And now what I have over here is I just have a piece of aluminum foil crumpled up into a ball. And if I place this nice and close over here, you'll notice that we get this back and forth motion over here. So our conduction pathway, our electrical highway, is now just this piece of foil, which is bringing the charge back and forth until there is no longer any separation of charge, which is what we see now, because now the foil does not want to move back and forth. So that is another way that we can see that. The energy transfers that were happening there, we were seeing that the aluminum foil ball actually had some kinetic energy as well. There's one more experiment that I want to show you with this, and I'm going to make sure to get quite a bit of charge over here. And I'm also going to turn the lights back off for this one. I'm going to build up a bit of charge here. And what I'm about to place in between these two leads over here, these two spheres, is just a fluorescent light bulb, okay? And if I place this in between over here, what you'll notice is you'll get a quick flash of light, just like so. It's not too large, but it is a bit of a flash of light that we see over there. That is another way that we can have a conduction and electrical highway in which we can allow these charges to no longer be separated, just like so. You see that quick flash of light over there to light up this fluorescent bulb. Okay, so those are some interesting experiments we have with our Whims Hurst generator. I'm going to turn the lights back on, just like so. All right, take the gloves off. And now one of the things that we want to do when we think of electrical devices that we use, you know, we're using them all the time, right? Is we want to think, how do we allow for this separation of charge to be automatic and to kind of continue, you know, without stopping? Because that, what I just showed you before, was happening very quickly, right? And the separation of charge died out very quickly. We need a means of maintaining that separation of charge. And one of the ways that we can do that is simply by using a power source or a battery or something like that, right? So what I have over here is a bit of a circuit over here where we have 1, 2, 3 identical light bulbs. And we also have 2 switches which are currently in the open or off position, okay? So I have a power source back over here, which is going to supply 6 volts to this over here, just like so. Now the power supply is hooked up. This is the positive end, and the negative end is over here. Now, even if you haven't studied physics or if you haven't studied circuits before, that is totally fine. There are some things that I'd like you to focus on, okay? One thing is the idea that if we change a single part of our circuit, for example, by flipping one of these switches, we are not only going to change this local part of the circuit, but rather we are going to change the entire circuit, okay? Another thing that I'd like you to focus on is the fact that we have a constant supply of potential difference over here, which is allowing us to light these light bulbs up continuously, okay? Now, Another thing that I'd like some of some of those who have had some experience with circuits before is if you want to make this more of an investigative process, what I'd like to show you real quickly, and I'm going to just change this on my iPad screen over here, is what I am showing you now is simply a circuit representation of the circuit that I just showed you before. Okay, so if this doesn't look like, if this, looks like absolutely doesn't make any sense or anything, that is totally fine. But for those that do have some experience with this, what I want to get across is that it is extremely important in physics and any science to represent different physical processes in many ways, and to make sure when you're evaluating your solutions or your outcomes of your testing experiments is to make sure that those representations are very much in agreement with one another. So later on, this video is obviously going to be made available to you. You can take a look at what I have presented here through a mathematical representation, through a circuit diagram representation, and see if this matches up with what you are seeing visually over here. Okay, and I have to flip my camera back around just like so. So that is with when both these switches are open. Now, if I close this first switch over here, you'll notice that something completely different now happens. Okay, so going back to our representation, our previous representation, this is the representation if the first switch is closed, but the second switch is remained open. For those of you that have experience with this, you can go ahead and come back to this at the end of the presentation. The video will obviously be made available to you, and you can see if this matches up with what we are visually seeing in the outcome of this experiment over here. Oops. Okay, now what if there are some other analyses we can do? I'm going to turn this one back up over here. Okay, this is now in the off position. Now I'm going to close this one over here, and we again see something completely different. Okay, and I'll go back over here to show you what the representation would look like for this. This is with the first switch in the open position and the second switch now in the closed position over here. And we have one more combination to go through over here, and this is when both of these switches are closed. And we again see something completely different over here. So changing one part of the circuit changes not just a single piece of the circuit, but rather it changes the entire circuit as well. And I'll go back one more time just to show you what happens with our representations if both switches are closed. And again, you can come back to this when the video is posted to YouTube and so forth, and you can kind of analyze this further if you would like to do so. Okay. So let us go back over here, okay, and I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to reposition the camera to get ready for our next experiment over here. This is actually one that we're not going to do just yet. I'm going to flip the camera around and get it ready anyway over here. So what we have taught, and I'm going to go back to the podium computer and actually share a new screen over here. So I'm going to momentarily stop sharing this screen, and instead, I am going to now share with you this camera over here. Okay, so what you're seeing, and I'll flash my hand just over there. So what you are seeing right over there is just a copper tube. Okay, and it's the camera is positioned such that we are above that copper tube over there. Okay, so what we've discussed so far is we've discussed a little bit about our understanding of electricity a bit, and now historically thinking, the ideas, the topics of electricity and magnetism for a very long period of time in our history were actually studied completely independent of one another. We didn't think that they actually had anything to do with one another, but our understanding in science, as it always does, evolves with time, and we now actually have an extremely strong connection between electricity and magnetism. Okay, what I have over here is a simple magnet, and here is that copper tube over here. And what I'm going to do is I am going to just place this copper tube right in, or rather place this magnet right inside that copper tube, just like so. And you can see that it gradually makes its way down. It doesn't quickly go down. I have another piece of material over here. This one looks exactly identical, but it is not a magnet at all. If I place this one through it, you see that it goes down extremely quickly, and I didn't even bother trying to catch that one over there. That was too quick for me. So what's happening over here? Well, this magnet over here creates what we like to call a magnetic field. It magnetically warps the space around it. And what that does, it allows it to interact with this copper tube over here, creating a current in it, okay? Now that current that is created, that electrical motion of electrons in this copper tube over here, is going to also create its own magnetic field thanks to that current created by this magnet over here, this moving magnet over here. That is going to create a magnetic field that actually opposes the motion of this magnet, which explains why when it is dropped, it moves nice and slowly, and it arrives at my hand just like so. And sometimes it always doesn't arrive, and it actually gets stuck in there like so. So sometimes you have to kind of try it again. There it is, right over there. Let's see if we can do that one more time. Let me go ahead and place that in, and it makes its way down just like so. And there it is for you. Okay, so I wanted to show you this because I wanted to show you how important it is to think about these seemingly different topics, electricity and magnetism, but lo and behold, it turned out that they were very, very much connected to one another. Okay, very, very much connected to one another. And now our understanding of different topics in light, which we're gonna get to momentarily, very much has to do with the combination understanding of electric and magnetic fields interacting with one another. So with that said, we will continue moving forward, and I'm gonna go ahead and reshare my iPad screen over here, and that should come back up. Very good, that's coming up on my end. And we're gonna go back over here to continue our conversation, but now with respect to light, okay? So we also wanna build on this idea of what is light? What actually is it, okay? And for a long time, there were two competing models of light. There was Sir Isaac Newton, who had a particle bullet model of light. And why don't I go ahead and just share myself as I'm talking about this. There was Isaac Newton, who suggested a particle bullet model of light. And there was another scientist known as Christian Huygens, who suggested a wave model of light. And for a long time, we didn't know which one was the better model. But with time, with additional experiments, with additional predictions we can make with those experiments, we can test these models and see if they match with our predictions and our expectations, and whether or not the outcome matches with our prediction that is based on these different models. So what I have here for you is I have just this glass slab over here, and it's transparent, so we can kind of see right on through it over here. And I also have this laser over here, okay, green laser. And what I'd like to show you is some of the experiments that were done, thinking historically of this, to help us gain confidence in one model over another. So to do this, I'm actually going to just quickly turn off the lights again so we can get a better view. There we go, lights are off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this laser and I'm going to simply shine it at an angle through this material, like so. So what's happening here? Well, the laser, the light, is going from one material to another, right? It's going from air to this glass rectangle over here. And what's nice about this is we can actually see, you can see the beam of light, okay, coming from this laser over here. And what's interesting about that beam is that it is actually not in line with the direction of motion of the beam when it is in air. This is what we call refraction. This is the refraction of light over here. The light is actually bending due to the difference in this material over here. Each of these materials, whether it's air or whether it's glass, has a different index of refraction, as we call it. Okay, and what that index of refraction tells us is really just how fast. It gives us information to how fast the light is traveling through that particular material. Now, thinking of our two models of light, thinking of the particle bullet model and the wave model of light, this experiment by itself actually does not help us to figure out whether the model, the model that is correct, the model that we can gain confidence in, is a particle bullet model or a wave model. Now, both models actually make different predictions as to whether the speed of light is going to increase or decrease in this new material. The particle bullet model says that the speed of light is actually going to increase in this second medium, whereas the wave model of light says that the speed in this second material is going to decrease, okay? So back then, they weren't able to figure that out. So this experiment by itself did not help us to figure out which model of light we could gain confidence in. But we are gonna see another experiment very shortly, the next one, which will be the last one, as to what model is best. So before we see that last experiment, I wanna show you just a very similar one over here, okay, making use of this particular shape instead, okay? So I'm just gonna slightly reposition our iPad camera over here just to get it in the right position. There we go. So now what I wanna do is I'm gonna shine this at essentially a 90-degree angle over here, okay? And now we get a very interesting effect going on right over here, okay? I'm gonna show kind of my hand in here, like so, okay? And what you'll notice, there's a very interesting effect going on here. This is something that is called total internal reflection, where all of the light that is incident on that surface, on that interaction between one medium and the next, is being entirely reflected. None of the light is getting into the air. But if I go ahead and I reposition the laser, you can eventually see that there is going to be an actual beam of light that is shining on my hand. So this angle does not produce total internal reflection over here, okay? Not at all. But if I position it horizontally again, we see that we do get that total internal reflection. A very cool experiment, okay? So there is one more experiment that I would like to show you, and to do that, I'm gonna turn on half the lights because I happen to notice that this worked best when only half of the lights were on. So I'm gonna reposition my camera over here, just like so, and I'm gonna make my way around so I can make sure that you'll get the best view possible of this. And to do that, I'm just gonna raise this camera up just a little bit so you get the best view possible. I don't want you to see the ground over here. I'm just gonna quickly reposition this. Okay, because what I wanna show you last is an experiment having to do with the diffraction of light, okay? Using a diffraction grating. Okay, so now I'm gonna reposition this camera just like so. I'm gonna push it up just a little bit. There we go. That's exactly where I would like that. So what I have over here that I can show you really quickly, okay? Over here, I have a couple of lasers, and I also have a diffraction grating over here. And what a diffraction grating is it's simply a whole bunch of lines, okay? A whole bunch of slits, essentially, that are allowing light to kind of pass through them in an interesting way. Now, when we only have two slits, this was actually a very famous experiment done by Thomas Young quite some time ago. When we just had a double slit, this experiment over here allowed us to gain confidence in the wave model of light. You'll notice that when I send two separate lasers through this diffraction grating over here, we get a very interesting pattern. We see bright spots, we see a lot of darkness where there's no light whatsoever, okay? Now, what this experiment did is it helped us to gain confidence in the wave model of light, Christian Huygens' real idea, okay? Why it did that is that, well, a particle bullet model cannot explain this experiment here, but a wave model can allow us to explain this. The wave model says that these wavelets, these waves, are essentially interfering constructively at specific locations. And the way that they are interfering constructively is at these bright spots over here. Okay, but I also wanted to show you two separate lasers, okay, which have two different wavelengths. One is a green laser, one is a red laser. The red laser has a longer wavelength. Notice how different types of light are going to interfere constructively at different locations. You can see the first maxima after this is the central maxima that we have over here, okay, and those are always going to kind of be located right in the center. But the first maxima next to the central maxima, notice that the red laser dot and the green laser dot are located in completely different locations over there. And that is because they are interfering constructively at different locations. We see the same thing on the right-hand side. And if we go to larger maxima, we can see that they're really separated. Look, that is the second maxima over there for the green laser, but that is the second maxima over there for the red laser. So this particular experiment over here allowed us to more so gain confidence in a wave model of light proposed by Christian Huygens. Now, I'm just going to wrap up a little bit. I'm just going to make my way back over here and reshare my main screen. I'm going to stop sharing that, and I'm going to reshare this screen over here. All right, so those are all the experiments that I have for you today. Again, want to congratulate all of our award recipients as well as all the participants. I want to thank everyone for allowing me to be a part of this wonderful event over here as well. But what I would really like to just leave you with, and this kind of goes off of what Shayla was trying to get across to us as well, that I really appreciated her take on this, is that you really need to pursue what you are passionate about in life. And what I'll leave you with is this. Over 120 years ago, there was a famous scientist known as Max Planck, okay? And he, when he started studying college, when he was in college, he was actually very interested in music, but he wanted to study physics. He wanted to study physics. However, he was recommended by his professors not to do so. He was recommended not to do so because it was suggested that most of what, physics is already known, and, there's not too much left to discover, and you shouldn't bother studying physics. Well, Max Planck did not take that advice, and he ended up studying physics regardless of what his professor had to say about it. And in the year 1900, he actually made a discovery that completely changed our understanding of the physical world and opened us up to the quantum world of physics. So with that, I really want to encourage you, if you are passionate about it, please pursue it, regardless of what anyone else has to say about it. And to end, just to give you an idea, we haven't even really, we've just barely scratched the surface with our understanding of light. And we don't even fully understand it today. We don't fully understand, is it a particle? Is it a wave? Is it both? Sometimes it acts more like a particle. Sometimes it acts more like a wave. And you are the ones that are going to need to continue pushing our knowledge forward. Good luck to you. And thank you so very much for having me today.
Andrew, thank you. This was a joy. I am not surprised that the success of the physics program was remarkable, and that you were part of it is a joy for us, and that you will let us use this video over the coming year is a gift, and we thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Thank you again.
Okay. Well, folks, your award ceremony for 2021 is wrapping up. I'd like to extend our heartiest congratulations to everyone who joined us today. Your fair committees are already preparing for 2022, and we look forward to seeing you there. I've got a couple of reminders. Heaven forbid you not get a reminder. Students, please talk over your project plan with a qualified adult before you begin. That makes life so much easier, and it lets you have safety and development advice before you get committed to an entire project plan. So Students, talk to a grown-up before you begin. 2, teachers, if you want to talk to Terra about setting up local safety review for students, it will make your life so much easier. You will be thrilled. No charge. Send us an email, send me a text. Let us know that you'd like to find out about a local safety review process. We'll help. Remember that both Shayla and Andrew have said that the video that we've done today, we have full rights to for a year. You can use it for a kickoff event, in a scout troop, in a 4-H unit, in a classroom, at a school, a homeschooling co-op. Use it as a kickoff. And remember that Shayla said if you'll let her know when you're doing that, if she's free, she'll come in and do some Q&A. So this is a gift. She's given us a 12-month gift of her talent. The last thing is, in the pre-show, you saw some information about resources Terra has for you. If you want to encourage kids in this pre-collegiate experience, diving into science and engineering and finding out what their talents are and what their passions are, if you want to help that, Terra wants to help you. We have grants, we have materials, we have maker programs, we have Fair in a Box, which lets you run a fair with a sponsor, a gas station like my dad ran, the local grocery store, the nearest community college, the town library, any teacher in a school. We have what you need so you can do a fair and get the kids infected with the fun of this. Terra has that for you. But the most important part of this equation is you. You have the commitment, you have the talent, you have the gift. And all you need to do is listen to Shayla. She gave you the 3-legged stool. She told you how you can move forward, discover your dreams, and then act to achieve them. And we believe you can do it. Congratulations, everyone. Thank you.
خب سلام پسرای عزیزم، بریم اسمای قشنگتون رو زودی بخونیم که عقب افتادیم یه کوچولو از درسمون. خب پسرای گلم از پایین لیست، آقای راستین، محمد و صدرا،